Heaven's Journey to Life. The First Creation of Character, Day 79. To read this post, it must be understood that we're walking this process and blog, Heaven's Journey to Life, multidimensionally, which means each post covers one dimension, but is interconnected into and as multi-dimensions in our process of walking the point in question of who I am and how this I created and manifested this entire physical existence. Thus suggested to read this blog from day one, as many of the points in previous dimensions and days and posts are always brought through into the next day's dimensions and posts, as all the dimensions interconnect, as the multi-dimensionality we've created and manifested as our separation, as energy and consciousness from and of life and equality and oneness. Thus, if one is faced with this post and have not yet read this blog from day one, suggests that self first start from day one, as otherwise one will have no context of many dimensions that is walked in this post that has been dealt with in detail in previous posts. In and from this post, one may find references to the term character within the context of how we had from the beginning, from and of substance, manifested ourselves into and as various forms, dimensions, and manifestations of characters that we still do and exist as to this day within and as our minds. This character creation of ourselves originated from and of the moment we, as substance, separate ourselves into and as an innumerable amounts of manifested singularities, where substance took on the character of there must be more than me, there must be more than me as here. And so within the creation and manifestation of that character from and of itself, substance accordingly manifested and created the embodiments and manifestations of that character from within and as itself, that manifested as the more of itself, as all the manifested accumulated manifested singularities into and as which it separated itself, creating manifesting the illusion of more. And so separated itself from here into and as the accumulation of and as energies from the negative to the neutral and to the positive, the more it separated itself from itself as here. Thus, this illusion of moreness manifested the more it separated itself from itself and here. And so substance as ourselves created and manifested our in its first character, embodiments, and manifestation. There must be more than me, there must be more than here, that had become the existent and manifested creations of and as the manifested singularities and energy. Characters, which we still exist as to this day, manifested living embodiments resonating within and as that starting point of and as searching and seeking the more of ourselves, the more of here. And so from and of us accepting and allowing ourselves to exist and live as this character of searching and seeking the more of ourselves, the more of here, we have accordingly created and manifested ourselves in our existence as a whole, in and as this image and likeness. To now, for example, with the existence and manifestation of the world system of money in itself, searching and seeking for the more of itself as money, as the very physical existence that it can permeate and penetrate to accumulate and manifest the more of itself as money in consuming physicality to transform into money and duplicating and multiplying itself within businesses, industries, corporations, to manifest and create the more of itself as the world system itself. And so we've from the beginning been stuck in this one point character manifestation of seeking and searching for the more of ourselves, the more of here, which is all that we've done and become infinitely at this stage, not seeing and realizing and understanding that as long as we exist as this character of searching, seeking for the more of ourselves, the more of here, this is all we'll ever do, be, and remain as. And therefore, the process thus is to step out of character, stop the characteristic existence of ourselves as seeking and searching for the more of ourselves, the more of here, and realize ourselves as here in equality and oneness, that once we actually stop searching and seeking, we start realizing here in equality and oneness. LOL. We may just find out, we may just find what and who it is that we've been searching for and looking for throughout existence. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to inequality and oneness, with and as energy and substance, the mind and the physical, from the beginning to now, remembered, seen, realized, and understood how I, as substance, accepted and allowed myself to manifest the first instance of creation of and as me. The moment I moved into and as the creation and manifestation of me as a character of and as myself, within and as the movement of and as there must be more than me, there must be more than here, where simultaneously within that movement and moment, I accordingly created and manifested my characters of there must be more than me, there must be more than here, into and as the innumerable amounts of manifested singularities as the more of me, and the energy within them as the more than here, where the more of me could only exist in the separation from and of myself into and as manifested singularities, and the more of here could only exist within the separation of me from within myself as substance to energy that accumulate into and as the more of and as positive energy experience. And so I had created and manifested me as characters, as the manifested singularities with energies that would, as the character of and as there must be more than me, there must be more than here, continue living out this character as themselves. As whatever characters I create of and as me, I equally as one become and so live out, as they are creations and manifestations of and as and from me, that I am creating and manifesting me into and as. And so I went from substance and equality and oneness and here into and as the characters of and as the manifested singularities of and as energy, trapped and manifested into and as my own character creations, which I'm still to this day consisting of and existing as living out as all the human beings of and as me, searching for and looking for that more of self, that more of here experience within and as self's relationship to the mind and energy in the physical. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to, from the beginning to now, remember, see, realize, and understand inequality and oneness, within as energy and substance, the mind and the physical, how, in any given moment, I accept and allow myself to conceive myself in separation from myself as here, in and as equality and oneness. I will, in that conception, in immediacy, manifest myself as that conception, where that very conception of me in and as separation of me is the moment I create and manifest a character of and as me, because I, as substance, within and as the very nature and existence of and as substance itself, did not consist of and exist as time, but absolute immediate here-ness, and so would immediately, as I conceived the search and seeking for the more of me and the more of here, character, equally as one in immediacy manifested the more of me and the more of here. Because the moment I conceived that separation of me from myself, I immediately moved within and as that conception of separation within the point of there must be more than me, there must be more than here, and so immediately manifested me as that. Where thus, in any given moment, one conceive oneself in separation from and of self as here, on is creating oneself into and as a character that will embody that conception. One will in that moment create and manifest self into and as a living embodiment character. As a character is a diminished representation of and as only one part and point of and as a totality of and as self here, in and as equality and oneness. Equal to and one with in the beginning, where substance characterized itself into and as innumerable amounts of one points and representations of and as itself as the manifested singularities, and characterized itself into and as one point and representation of and as here, as energy and energies within and as the manifested singularities as a diminished form and expression of itself as here. Where within creating and manifesting characters, we diminish and lessen ourselves into and as one part of ourselves, believing that the one part point in experience defines the totality of and as who we are, when it in fact represent our absolute and utmost separation from and of ourselves. As with, for example, the manifested singularities as characters that substance separated itself into and as, and so became its creation, because its creation is itself. It moved itself into and as separation, its awareness into and as the manifested singularities and energy, and so became lost within its own creation of separation as the very manifested singularities and energies itself. Because the manifested singularities consisted of and existed as the purpose of searching and seeking for the more of themselves, the more of here, and did not see, realize, and understand their equality and oneness with themselves, each other, and existence as a whole, because substance itself did not see, realize, and understand this from the beginning. And so now, substance became its separation, creation, and characters as manifested singularities and energies, evolving throughout time within and as the searching and seeking for the more of itself, the more of here. I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to inequality and oneness with and as energy and substance, the mind and the physical, from the beginning to now, remembered, seen, realized, and understood how and why the manifested singularities themselves and the energies of and as and within the manifested singularities was characters created and manifested from and of substance, as both represented diminished parts and expressions of and as substance as a whole. As substance's awareness separated into and as the manifested singularities and energy itself, and in this separation of awareness and manifestation of substance into manifested singularities and energy, energy became a character and diminished representation with the awareness of and as there must be more than me, there must be more than here, as energy would accumulate itself from the negative to the neutral and to the positive, and would extend its accumulation into and as the external positive energy experience with the equal and one merging of the manifested singularities. And the manifested singularities themselves became a character and diminished representation within the awareness of and as there must be more than me, there must be more than here, as the manifested singularities would move themselves inward and forward, consuming substance to transform into energy, and eventually would duplicate, copy themselves into more manifested singularities as the more of me. Thus, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that when and as we create and manifest characters, they represent our awareness of and as equality and oneness into and as a diminished, lessened, separated form, expression, manifestation, and conception of and as ourselves. As with, for example, substance, it would have had an awareness of equality and oneness, but instead separated and diminished its awareness in itself into and as characters of manifested singularities and energy that would only have an awareness unto itself as the manifested singularity itself and energy itself. Same as how it exists today. We only have an awareness of and as the characters we created and manifested in our own minds, and an awareness of and as the energy experiences manifested within and as our own minds, and that's the extent to which our awareness exists, in absolute separation from the physical body, equal and one awareness, and equal and one awareness within other human beings, and an equal and one awareness with and as the rest of existence. Thus, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that whatever we move our attention, awareness, ourselves to and towards, within ourselves and within that movement of our attention and awareness and ourselves in separation from and of ourselves here, accordingly move ourselves into and as that separation. We are in that moment creating a character, a diminished representation and manifestation of and as ourselves, because we moved into that point there, instead of remaining with our awareness within ourselves as breath, here with and as the physical body. As with, for example, substance, it moved its awareness in itself into and as separation from and of itself, within and as the experience of there must be more than me, there must be more than here. And because it in that moment moved itself in awareness within that experience, accordingly created and manifested the diminished and lessened forms, manifestations, and representations of itself as characters, as the manifested singularities and energy within and as the equal and one experience and starting point of there must be more than me, there must be more than here. Instead of substance realizing its awareness here, in and as equality and oneness, it separated itself, its awareness, into and as an experience and character of and as manifested singularities and energy that became the very manifestation of and as substance's awareness and movement, of and as searching for and looking for the more of here, the more of me. We'll, in the next post, bring all this to practicality in how we still, in and as the mind's relationship to the physical body, create and manifest ourselves into and as diminished representations of ourselves as characters. As we constantly, continuously move ourselves and our awareness into and as separation from and of ourselves as here, in and as equality and oneness with and as the physical body, creating characters from and of our primary character, we become as we exist as energy and mind in relationship and separation to substance and physical, in the search and seeking for and of the more, of and as ourselves here, and how from this one character, we've just continued infinitely creating more characters, experiencing of ourselves here as our very selves and here existence had become a character, searching and seeking for the more of itself and here. I commit myself to show how we had, from the beginning as substance, created ourselves into and as characters of and as manifested singularities and energy, now existent as human beings in mind, where within and as our primary character, as searching and seeking for the more of itself and here, we've just continued creating and manifesting more characters within ourselves, more energy experiences within ourselves. In this, I commit myself to show how, because our beginnings from and of substance created ourselves into and as the character of and as manifested singularities and energy within and as the awareness and experience and movement as conception of and as there must be more than me and here. We had from that moment, as the first instance of creation and manifestation, accordingly within and throughout our existence as this one character, existent as each of and as the manifested singularities and energy, only continued creating and manifesting characters and energy experiences, searching and seeking for the more of ourselves, the more of here. Because our initial starting point in creation was a character, we only continued existing as characters, all equally as one characters, as diminished embodiments and manifestations of and as our equality and oneness as substance and here. A character creating and manifesting characters in the searching and seeking of the more of here and the more of me itself, as we as human beings in the mind-physical relationship as primary character as the mind and energy, search and seek for the more of ourselves and here, we create more characters, and the more of here as we create more energy. The more and more and more we continue creating characters in the mind and energies, the more and more we separate ourselves from our equality and oneness with and as the living manifestation of substance as a physical body and this physical existence, from and of which we as substance separated our awareness of ourselves from, into and as the mind and energy characters, searching and looking for the more of ourselves here. When we've always already been here and are still here, we must just stop searching, looking, and creating characters and energy and realize ourselves here. I commit myself to show how we have from the beginning not in fact created life, as life is not a creation. It's a realization of here in and as equality and oneness with self and all. That substance was and is life already. It is here, aware, living, and existent within and as its very here-ness as what the physical body and its physical existence is showing and revealing as a manifestation of and as substance itself. It is life and living already in and as its very here expression and existence of itself. This physical existence and physical body is not looking for life and creating life or searching and seeking for itself. It is here within and as its expression as life itself, giving life and living to all physical bodies in equality and oneness. We're the ones in our mind and consciousness existence as characters in separation from the physical body and this physical existence, the ones that's separated ourselves from life here and living in the search and seeking for life, living in ourselves, when it has always been right here with an as us all along, as the living representation of an as the physical body, and so this physical existence. In this, I commit myself to show and walk the process of identifying and revealing and exposing the extent of characters we've created and manifested from and of our one primary character as the search and seeking for the more of here is ourselves, and the extent of separation and consequences we've manifested within and for ourselves in this search and seeking for the more of here and ourselves, the more we created and manifested characters and energies, going and creating ourselves out there into an as separation when we were always only supposed to realize ourselves here within and as the simplicity, living, and expression of and as life itself.